and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi.
Hello, Jonathan Byer. It is
Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa. Putting
Thank
the Kwan
you.
back in Kwanzaa. It's take two of Japanese nationals. We thought we would wear these now, which one of our viewers sent
Dave,
us.
there's something different about you, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
Oh, I know. But we'll have to wait until the Olympics. But
okay. Now she's coming undone. Look at what it's done.
Goodness. My earbuds are falling off. My hearing
you're
aids.
injured.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Worth it. It was worth it. Okay.
Oh, so Japanese nationals. It did feel like a void. It did feel like a void without Hanyu, and the men's event was kind of a dud, if we're being honest. Right. But I think it makes the Olympics more exciting, more to look forward to.
That's right. Absolutely. More question marks always mean more answers by the time the Olympics come along. Yeah.
And now that we are, recording this 2 days after our original date, we still don't have any news on Hanyu. In this situation, I don't know if no news is good news. I'm not so sure. I don't know.
Well, and it must be tricky having to answer all the time to it when you just kind of need to see sort of how some stuff plays out. To always have to put forth a statement must be tricky. So
yeah, and they look like they're kind of flying under the radar, which is good now. This is kind of the time that you don't want everyone up in your business. So
absolutely.
So let's talk about Japanese nationals. I have to say, I think the ladies' event was so stunning and so stellar, and I just hope the other events can become at this level. I want them to have pairs. Can we move some of their girls to pairs? Let's have some really rich disciplines.
This women's event was for sure the event of the season for me. It was 30 girls, and in that short program, 30 girls doing 3 jumping passes, there were 3 falls. Yeah. What is going on? It's insane.
So we need to take like 5 of them and put them in the pair event. Okay, let's just get this
absolutely.
Up. Okay?
Yes.
They could beat the Americans in 6 months. Okay, I think that we could.
Just to see those skating skills and again, just so unfortunate we're only going to see 2 instead of 3. I'd love to see 8.
My goodness.
Except, well, hold on, where was Rika? Whatever, all of those but Rika Hongo. I would love
really, my only... People are going to get mad, but I thought that 6 and 7 should have been reversed. That was the one thing that really upset me about the score.
Yeah, exactly. As it should have, Dave. As it should have.
Although, you know that Marin Honda has been our daughter, and sometimes your child does need a swift kick in the ass. So losing to Rika
Sometimes
Hongo,
children disappoint you. And this would be one of those times.
I don't know if I'm disappointed. It was a learning experience. I felt like we knew it was coming. It needed to happen. And I think that hopefully this will be a big wake-up moment, learning opportunity.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we have yet to determine if it's a learning experience because she has to actually learn from it.
I felt in the short that she skated smaller and tentatively. And I felt
a little icy veneer as a result. And what is so appealing about her is her warm, generous, open style. Yeah,
I felt Marin here. We can just start and work our way up. I think Marin. I think here nerves. I think it's interesting. The coach. I'm very fascinated by the difference in the coaches between Japan and Russia, because we've heard that Mia Hamada is actually a very tough coach. But she doesn't. She seems very warm, and
she seems very supportive in a competitive environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unlike a Terry, who is sometimes.
I hope that she is not always that. I hope she's doing that for show, but we'll get into that in a whole other episode.
Well, I don't know, but I just think, wow, Mia Hamada. It's funny because Marin, of course, they bow for their coach and they show respect when they get off the ice. And then, and they always are smiling in Japan, right? Like, we are always smiling, even when we're frustrated, when we're skating, right? They don't break that wall. Right. But then you could see it with Marin a little bit in the free. After she acknowledged the male coach, Yamada Tomura, she kind of made, a knowing look, like, I blew that. So it was interesting because they don't project that as much. They certainly are always very polished and respectful and professional. So you don't see them break that as much, but it was interesting to see the acknowledgement.
And because among the Hamada girls, I think that Marin is for sure the most talented. And you know, we've
Yes.
heard these rumblings that perhaps she is not the easiest to train as much as she is the most talented. And then it becomes one of those things. I mean, and again, now the work ethic is all relative, isn't it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? May many North American skaters be as difficult and as untrained as Marin Honda is, you know?
Yeah. So she's young, and I believe
Yeah.
there was, you know, I think that there were some tears in the rink when she was in Colorado, but also was a hard worker, but they perhaps was not just as diligent about getting the job done as Satoko or perhaps.
It must be so tricky when all these things are so natural and so God-given, and you're just born with certain gifts that you didn't necessarily work for. I suppose it's hard to understand how to when you have to start to use that work ethic and how different it must be. Whereas Satoko, like, she is built from the ground up, you know, like
I also
it must
think, yeah, when you go from junior to senior, in junior, everyone loves you for your components and they reward you. And then you have a season where the program's not quite as good as it was last year. It's not as magical. You don't get the same component scores at all times. And your first year senior, it's a little tougher internationally, and you sometimes wonder why. And then you have to kind of rebuild that up. So
in general, I was surprised this year for her because I think her program components transcend reputation. I think her skating skills are actually really beautiful. I think that she does perform very well. And her problems weren't implosions. They were just too many small mistakes that really added up, I felt. But the judges never really gave her the benefit of the doubt with those PCS like they did for, like, say, a Zagitova, who was also making errors, I mean, of a different magnitude. But even at Japanese Nationals, Rika Hongo consistently beat Marin Honda's PCS.
I didn't agree with that. I don't think that Marin had her best performance, but she is a beautiful skater. I think she did skate smaller. I just don't think Rika has it in terms of components.
And they really tried to help her out. I felt.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that there was some yeoman service there, some Tanya Kwiatkowski send off, some, you know, you've been our steady girl for a long time. I just felt with Marin, they were a little tough on her, but there's, you know what, it's a lesson, and there are people coming, and you have to skate aggressively, and I felt that she was a little bit tentative, and it was the kind of skate where the mistakes didn't happen early on, but they did happen later, and they happened on the Lutz and the Loop, two jumps that carry a lot of points, especially in the bonus, and that was certainly
detrimental.
Detrimental. I mean, no four continents at this point. She's not slated to go back to Junior World. So,
and the spins were suffering here too. And it was tough to.
It could have all been better. It could have been better all the way around. And just, and I really think. Sorry, we're doing this conversation for the second time. So, but
what did we say? Yeah,
I would really like to see her work with someone like a Frank or someone who really can, like, work on her jump technique. She has very interesting technique on the flip and Lutz, and by interesting I don't mean great. It's a little swingy sometimes on her takeoff, and it's worked for her in the past, but as everyone gets older and goes through puberty, you know, you don't know how that's always gonna fan out. I think her jumps could be a little bit bigger, a little bit more powerful, and to just get those extra points, you know, next year as you move towards.
And we've talked quite a bit how much we all respond to the Hamada skaters in general, the style and the qualities that they possess. But now, what is your take on the technique across the board for those girls?
So they all have different technique, and that's what's really interesting. I think we see about 4 or 5 skaters from her right now, and they all jump a little bit differently. Rika Kihira is quite a good jumper. She's probably... and Marin is a good jumper, but she's not the most natural jumper, perhaps. I think, relative to some of the other ones. There's Yuna Shurea. You know, Satoko, obviously, we heard, learned to jump the other way, and then switched when she went back to Japan, so... And looks to be a very nervous jumper sometimes. Like, she gets quick on the takeoff and doesn't lend herself to really finish everything. And there's a rushing quality to her. But I think working with someone could help Marin Honda. You know, really fine tune just the takeoff, the edge, really set everything and kind of work with her. I know Frank was looking at her Salchow, which is, she has an unusual Salchow technique. It kind of comes from nowhere. She doesn't have that Michelle Kwan long edge going into it, you know, the curve that Michelle would do. And that was something where he was like, what is going on there? That is a
if you can land it that way, imagine if you did it the right way. Yeah, exactly.
She just doesn't have a standard technique. It's a more
she's very unconventional by mistake. Okay.
But
well, so my question to you then also in something like the performing arts and opera, sometimes you can spot someone's technique a mile away. They went to this school, they went to this teacher, they went to this coach, and that comes with good and bad, right?
Yes.
Nice to know that pillars of technique are being addressed, but sometimes it's dangerous if the technique is so set that it doesn't allow for flexible and variables between each individual. So do you find that in skating? Like, is it kind of not great to be able to see someone's jump and say, oh, they train with so-and-so? Or is it more unusual to have 3 Hamada girls with 3 entirely seemingly different techniques?
Well, I don't know if they're entirely different, but I think it depends whose technique it is. If you're seeing the Nancy Kerrigan Lutz, that could be a very good thing. If you're seeing like the toe axle from Udell, that's another thing going on. I think it depends. I think Hamada's girls are, what I think is very good about them is that they're all-around skaters. They seem to focus on the spins, the jumps, the footwork, the choreography, the costume. She seems to get them with Tom Dixon, with Lori Nickel, with Marina Zueva, with a lot of top choreographers who can appeal to a broad skating demographic. You know, they have the Russian influence, North American influence. They kind of net them out. They don't look so Japan or so Russia or so. They kind of and they tend to pick music that works with them, and she really seems to look at the overall aesthetic of skating, and I think that's a very good thing. The jumps could be slightly better, especially as we move towards the next couple of years. Who knows how many Russian girls are going to be doing... I don't know where they're going to be doing quads. I mean, who knows what they're going to be pushing and what the judges are going to be rewarding in terms of... We're going to have to see. We're going to be moving to +5, -5 GOE. So, and, you know, who knows what's going to happen with that? Will there be kind of more of a discussion about the components? I don't know. But
the only thing that's so consistently Japanese ladies to me right now is that 9 times out of 10, I just love everybody's programs, but I do love them for all different reasons. Yeah. So it makes it really nice. Yeah. Made it my favorite. Yeah.
The other thing, I think I said the other day, is that Rika Kihira's triple axel, and we'll get into her. Yeah. She has a triple axel. It's kind of interesting. It's more similar to Shoma's, where they put the right leg, which they take off, they put it behind the other leg. If you remember with Midori Ito or with Tanya Harding, it was like that leg was like I was told, you know, when you jump an axel to be like you're jumping up a flight of stairs, you know, and then you really you lead with that leg, then you stop, then you come into the backspin position. They do it a little bit differently where they kind of like they sneak that leg behind.
Yeah, and it's almost, I'll tell you something, like, it's so incredible, and she does make it look so easy at this juncture, and from, like, a fan perspective, it almost looks too easy.
Yeah.
Like, something about when Tanya or Midori did it,
was impressive.
Like, whoa, my gosh. But Mao experienced the same thing. It was a little like, oh, was that a triple axel just there? Yeah. Just so easy and effervescent, which is a great quality, but in like kind of a sporting element, you almost wish it had more of a hurdle feeling to it.
Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't look as impressive, perhaps, but it's so impressive that you get the points and it's so consistent and
how impressive that it looks easy, of course, you know,
and it looks beautiful and effortless. And please, we're talking about, and perhaps much more consistent than the way Tanya Midori performed them, but. Rika Hongo here. Let's go back to her. This is... Jonathan, it just was not her event. I mean, what... did you feel... I felt like they gave her a lot of points that they didn't need to. Compared to they didn't... Where was, like, the extra bonus, like, you've really had a great season to Akaba Higuchi? compared to
Yes.
Rika Hongo. I felt like there was this like, well, you did that river dance for us and you held it together in Boston and you were great in 2015, so let's keep you around another year. We'll put you on the Grand Prix. You know, like
Yeah,
they
like
didn't
a participation award. Yeah.
it felt, I don't know the Japanese politics internally as much, and she had 2 falls in the free. Not a gorgeous skater, not an imaginative skater.
Well, and a tumultuous relationship. Like, she's had big ups and downs with the Federation. They've thrown her under the bus certain times and helped her other times. So she ended up with the 5th highest PCS. But I mean, just the fact that in general, even despite her errors, that she was above Marin seemed just so confusing.
It's funny because the Japanese Federation has been a little bit more behaved this time. I mean, if you think back before Vancouver, or you know, they used to switch the skaters among the coaches, and it would be coach hopping every year with, you know, Miki Ando and Takahashi and Fumie Suguri and all the things that we've seen, and they've been like more subdued, but interesting.
Exactly, and moderate scores overall. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I didn't find any, you know, always some inflation, of course, but not outrageous.
They felt
inflation.
appropriate.
Yeah, and they made they made the best choice for the team that they could have, given the circumstances. They didn't play any games.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like there, other than a strange bump for Rika that didn't really end up mattering at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Unless you're Marin Honda. They kind of just played by the rules and let it play out, which was unique to see.
Yeah. What do you think about Mai Mihara here? She's been another one. They could have helped her out more than they did. She was not in the last group of the ladies after, you know, going into the free skate. And such a group it was when they were lined up. I was like, wow, that is a group. Like, you know, looking at them. What did you think of the way they scored her? And
I mean, again, she ended up 4th highest in PCS. So there was a bit of like still support, but again, yeah, I don't know. These are all great sort of second tier, not second tier in ability, just sort of the supporting role.
she'd be in the penultimate group at the Olympics, right?
Yes, and did a great job as the second Japanese girl, or, you know, just underneath the big star, and delivered a solid performance. Again, because the X factor is missing, but she used to have the consistency. But when that failed her, in such a competitive field, it was still just too easy to pass her up. I don't know.
And sometimes her jumps are not as big or as rotated as others. So you have to, there's that factor as well. I thought that when the free skate ended, you know, they gave her about 141 and change. I thought it was nice. It was just nice. It was, I don't know.
Like it always is.
Yeah, like, kind of like when Angela Nikodinov did Sleeping Beauty. Like, it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't blown away. I wasn't offended. I thought it had a lot of positive qualities.
Great improvement since last year in the programs also, but a journey that's not quite there.
But I think she's someone who deserves, you know, more Grand Prix events and more competitions, and you know, she'll be going to 4 continents, and I think that that's appropriate. So,
as defending champion,
hey,
how about that?
You know, not all was lost, but they could have helped her out more. And I
agree.
I was interested that they didn't. I don't think that they wanted to send her, even though it's funny because she is the one who really delivered at the World Championships last year for them. But as you've said before, World was a very long time ago.
Well, I said that on our non-aired show. So let's go ahead and repeat it, Dave. So, you know, when we were talking also about what the Olympic criteria, you know, is for the states, they very heavily weigh the results of the 2017 World Championships. And the point I was just making is that it's a whole season ago. It might as well have been 100 years ago. Same thing when Mirai was not named to the team and Ashley was. So many people were like, but look, she was 4th at the last Olympics. And those of us were like, well, what does that have to do with anything? 4 years ago, it was a lifetime ago. Her skating is unrecognizable compared to them. And Karen Chen being 4th place in 2017 Worlds does not make her suddenly a medal shot for 2018 Olympics. It's just, such a different thing. And conversely, so yes, Mai did a great job at 2017 Worlds and holding it together, and Wakaba did not. But we're in a new season, and I feel like Wakaba is still being punished a little bit.
A little bit, I think, it's so funny because as much as last year's Worlds can help, it's the kind of thing where it can help when you want it to help, and it can not count when you don't want it to count.
If she had delivered at the Grand Prix final, it would have been easy to have erased the memory of 2017 Worlds. Yeah,
I think when you have to sort of split hairs, and I was thinking of, there were 24 hours between when they finished competing and when, we talked about it a little bit, and I was thinking, well, Wakaba did look stronger earlier this season, but she did just bomb the final and not do a spectacular job here, and she is the one at Worlds, and you don't know. And
Sakamoto's big success at Skate America was pretty recent.
Yeah, so she's on the rise. So I felt for Wakaba Higuchi though. I mean, they really deserve 3 spots. This is like a ridiculous situation here, but Wakaba didn't do well at Worlds, so what do you do with it?
I mean, I think given the circumstances, they made the best decision they could. I don't think it was a poor one. Although I did think it was strange, when they do that for the US, they just make an announcement, right?
Yeah.
But this was a full-blown ceremony at the ice rink.
Yes.
And they were calling them out, and you heard when Sakamoto was called.
It was the gasp, but an appreciative gasp, but they were excited.
Never against her, but I felt like a lot of fans were probably very disappointed for Wakaba and knew it was a tricky situation. Here's the real problem. I do thematic parties for the Olympics.
Yeah.
And this whole thing set up where I could do my Higuchi's platter. I could have Wakaba peas. No, I can't do that now. Thanks a lot. Now I'm going to have a Sakamoto potatoes or something.
Oh, my goodness. Well,
I have to get the pun game on.
Sakamoto's free skate is terrible.
I know they tried to trick us with the new dress, but her... just not a fan. And a lot of two-footed skating, especially in the beginning with that pantomime. The short program I like. I think she makes a great impression in the short.
Mm-hmm. You know how we always talk about how skaters don't really want to go to the Grand Prix final in an Olympic year? I feel like if you're from Japan, although it was supposed to factor into the Olympic team, you really don't want to go in a sense because you have to peak there and then turn around and try to peak again for nationals so quickly.
And especially she had done Skate America, so she would have gone Skate America, Grand Prix final, and then Japanese nationals.
Oh, I meant Higuchi, sorry, but Higuchi didn't do well at the final. Sakamoto, who didn't qualify for, she had a better situation where she had Skate America, then a bit of a rest and a preparation for nationals.
Yeah.
That 5th place finish, or wherever she was at her first event, was such a blessing to her not making it, because she really got to peak at the right time and looks to be peaking at the right time. The one thing I will say about Wakaba is that, a single axle in the short, double sow in the long. These were not implosions. Although she didn't nail either program. A double sow cow instead of a triple is why
a double sow cow left her off that is the incredible depth of these girls.
Do you know what Ashley Wagner would do if she could only, just do a double sow instead of a true at the nationals? And
that would be a coup for any of those girls if that was the program.
Karen Chen, her only mistake was a double sow cow next week, she would be thrilled.
Gosh, they all would, yeah.
So I felt that she, like Marin, held back a little bit in the performance here, especially in the free. I felt like she skated on a mission, but not in the same aggressive way. Remember when Tara Lipinski missed the triple flip in the short in Philadelphia? She really skated with attack in the free. It wasn't her perfect performance, but she skated aggressively. And I think
the mood was right.
Yeah, the mood was a little off.
And the mood is telling. Because, yes, there is no denying the amount of pressure they must feel. You think it's going to be less at the Olympics? You know what I mean? Maybe in some ways because you're there at least, but, tough.
I thought Kaori handled it very well. I think that she handled the free really, really well. I think she, obviously after the short, being so successful. That program, though, Jonathan, it's just Oh dear, it's like it's spreading. It's like the Atari school is spreading of Averbuk.
I
It's
know.
catching.
Well, that really made me worried, as I mentioned in the Junior Grand Prix final, for Rika Kihira. Is that, am I saying that right? Okay, these are new names.
We'll get an expert to,
Okay, yes, exactly. That in her short program, I was very alarmed because it seemed like they were really swinging the pendulum that way. And I was like, no, you're supposed to rise above it. You're supposed to be the beacon of what we look to. But then the free program was much more in the style that I enjoy. Although with her, you can definitely see the room for growth that I believe can happen. I believe the potential is there, but it's not there yet. The edges can be deeper in those beginning moves and things like that. But yeah, I just hope that they hold strong against the Russian school instead of bending towards it.
Yeah, I think that Rika is interesting. She's improved so much performance-wise from last year to this year.
Absolutely.
Last year, I really didn't think she had a lot of star quality, but she's really grown in that area where she looks like, oh, by next year, if she keeps on plugging, keep on trucking, baby. I think that could be an interesting development.
And already the improvement from the final, because of course she popped then the triple axel after the great combo, and here she nailed all three in the competition. So it was really nice to see.
Now, when did Satoko Miyahara get her braces off? Because, Jonathan, she was smiling here. Like, she reminded me of when I first got my braces off, and you're like, oh my god, my teeth are so
You keep putting your tongue over them.
Yeah, what's going on? Like, she was smiling. I've never seen her smile so much.
Yeah, it was really nice, actually, because I remember those moments back even at Four Continents, in 2014 or something, when the coach would be so excited, and then you would see Satoko be very lip-blocked and very serious. So now you see Satoko smiling. So now the coach is just weeping with hysteria in order to make sure she was more emotive.
Oh, my goodness. It was... Yeah. But she was beautiful here, I thought. The components... Yeah. They could have rained components on Satoko more than they did here.
And that's what I'm saying. I felt like they were trying to, judge pretty accurately instead of with that Nationals bump. I don't know if that's at Nationals in the States, those PCS are going to be through the roof for these girls. And then you wonder, is that to help build them up? But doesn't it feel fraudulent way?
I don't think it matters. I don't think a judge is going to be sitting at the Olympics and being like, well, they got higher components at their Nationals. I mean, come on, half the time it's fake news. I mean, we'd be like, gosh, Born and Kratz got all 6s at their Nationals, and so did Elvis, and they in Canada they're probably like, Michelle Kwan got more 6s at Nationals, Exactly. But it is a nice send off. I mean, it is nice momentum and everything like that.
The reason I like looking at the component rankings so much is I feel it tells you what the Federation is thinking in many ways. So that's why it was interesting to see.
Although I've been rewatching Albertville, Wes Nyack Twins YouTube channel.
Okay.
Jonathan, I think the 6-0 did it just fine. I loved it. Okay.
That final group wasn't necessarily the cleanest of Olympic final groups.
Doesn't matter. We were watching Sandra choreograph and, moving around, and Michael Shanley saw Karen Preston. He was like, she's terrible. I was like, oh my goodness. Michael,
with Sandra choreography with Christine S. hovering right on the shoulder there.
Yeah, right over her shoulder, and two strong women and how unusual for a coach to show up as they're doing the program, and Christine S. needs to be right there.
Exactly. Amazing.
Oh, great. And Sandra's like, well, I'm excited that Christy's coming, but I hope it won't stop our progress.
Exactly. To be watched while you're doing it.
Sandra could run for office with that level of diplomacy.
Exactly.
Yes,
and I'd vote for her. So
I would vote for her, yes. And now, in the men's field, it was really Shoma and no one else. I'm sorry. I mean, everyone else, no one else. Although, Taichi Hondo had a very, personal best type skate. He kind of has some stiff limbs, even though if they're bent. It's very Frau Mueller school of skating going on.
Right, bringing you some real East German realness.
Yeah. But Mia Hamada was very happy with him, much more happy than she was with Marin. And also, Dai Takahashi didn't step through the window here. But I think we knew it was coming.
It's too bad because in the short, they and in both aspects they had him fourth highest in PCS, and there is quality to his skating. And he does have a nice look on the ice and has occasionally experienced success when all the stars have aligned. It was too bad to sort of see him waver a bit.
He's never built on the confidence. Like, he's never had a great event and then gone into the next event and then excelled more
with
because
that momentum. Yeah,
it's almost like he has a good event and then he's nervous about recreating it and then it doesn't happen again and it's just not worked out.
Right.
Keiji Tanaka, I mean,
as I said, watching the opening movements, it reminds me of me if I get out of I'm 6'5", and sometimes I have to sit in a cramped airplane or a cramped car. And then when I get out, I feel like I'm a pretzel, like kind of unfolding. And that's how his body deportment is.
It looked quite nice by the end of the 4 minutes. It was looking a little better.
Yeah, like he had some invisible Alexander technique that was like, lengthen, widthen, come on, you got this. Yeah.
Oh.
Not a favorite of mine.
No. Now, I was so excited to see Yamada here. I have to tell you, I'm very curious how that works with Shoma Uno in the rink because there's the coach who travels with him,
right?
Who is always like seemingly very warm with him and supportive. Right. And Hamada seems like the one you gotta please her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mom is home. Yeah, exactly. Be cool. Yeah.
Looking like Yoko Ono still after all these years. I love her.
Yeah.
Also,
timeless.
Kaori and Mai Mihara's coach reminds me of Carol Yamaguchi. It's something about the hair in the 90s. She really looks like she could be an aunt.
Yeah, they could have the same stylist. Yeah.
Only from afar. When we see her from when they get up close, not so much. But
on a coaching aesthetic level, my favorite was Rika Hongo's coach, who at her Grand Prix event, she pushed her shoulders down and then was like, yeah, and I was like, okay, doing an assy impersonation of your skater right beforehand. That's a neat approach.
That's called the Russian technique. I don't know what is going on there. But yeah. So Shoma here, Jonathan, I'm getting nervous about Shoma Uno.
It's getting a little hard to watch.
We're getting to the last moment. This is the big moment is coming, and what's going to happen?
Right. And have we built up too much muscle memory in flailing programs? I was so optimistic at the start of the free. Mm-hmm. The jumps were taken deliberately one at a time. There was expansiveness. There was beautiful qualities to the loop, the quad loop, and then that triple axel. He took his time and it had flow and it was nice and uncluttered. And I thought, oh, phew. Yeah. And then halfway through the program, he just drops the whole thing and just started going through the motions and having some really goofy errors that he even seemed bewildered by. Not even that they happened, but even how to proceed. And it really just took you right out of the moment. And he's capable of making a moment, and so it's a little disheartening to see it go away.
The axle toe, I mean, it looked like he was just not present when he popped the toe and then turned out of it. And I mean, it just looked like he was completely checked out in that moment.
He doesn't seem like a distracted competitor. Like, we know some competitors who, just kind of check out.
He seems like he responds better when the pressure is on him, though. He seems like I think he is someone who really responds to a Han Yu being there, a Javier being there.
Having to put it all out on the line. Yeah.
I think he does better here. I think this probably is tougher for him, not having that extra focus, that extra adrenaline.
Feels like a rehearsal in a way.
Yeah.
Which even in a way, the Grand Prix final was for him. In a way, even though, had he sufficiently clobbered Nathan, it could have been a big statement. Yeah. But, yeah.
I wonder if you think he'll go to 4 continents?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I think the only reason to go to 4 continents is if it helps their mental game. Mm-hmm. And if they think he needs to go to get a clean skate, because again, we're seeing different versions of these technical content sheets. So what are you going to decide on? And once you have decided on that, do you want some mileage with that specific rundown in competition? I don't know. I would assume it's specific to each skater, but especially with Nathan Chen, where it seems to be like, let's try this today. Let's see how this goes at this Grand Prix event. That in order to one competition under your belt where you have the plan in place. I don't know. That would be the only reason to go. And if Hanyu's there, I don't know if he would.
I don't think Hanyu will be at Four Continents for sure. I wouldn't expect that at all. So, well, they haven't announced that yet, but that's coming. I'll be interested to see who pulls out of that. But we want to know, what was your favorite event of Japanese nationals, and which coach is giving you the most 90s throwbacks? And what did you make of the decision, Kaori or Wakaba Higuchi? So as always, I want to remind you to hold an edge. Have wonderful knees like Satoko.
Oh, those beautiful knees and the gorgeous finished arms in the back. Oh my gosh, do it all.
Do it all, hold an edge, and look sexy. Bye, guys.
羽生結弦 続きまして女子シングル宮原知子、
次どっちや次どっちやね
坂本花織
嬉しいだろうな
以上の9名でオリンピックに臨みます。皆さんぜひご期待ください。